The attack never starts with shouting. It starts with a glance, a question, a whisper that cuts deep. Are you arrogant? Are you fake? Do you even care? And before you know it, you're scrambling to explain, to be seen, to be understood. But that's exactly how they win. Because every defense is a surrender. Every explanation hands them your power. Machiavelli knew this truth. The moment you justify yourself, you place your value in someone else's hands. Real power begins when you stop needing approval, when silence becomes your weapon, and your presence speaks louder than your words ever could. 1. The fatal instinct. To explain yourself feels natural, almost noble, but it's not. It's submission dressed as clarity. Because every time you rush to defend who you are, what you meant, or why you did something, you're sending one silent message. You have the authority to question me. And once they believe that, the game is already over. This isn't about truth, it's about control. And the moment you accept their framing, their tone, their timing, their accusation, you're playing on their field. Even if you're right, it doesn't matter. Because you're reacting. And in the realm of power, reaction equals weakness. People don't see your explanation as proof of innocence. They see it as proof of discomfort. They don't think he's clarifying. They think he flinched. And once they sense blood, the crowd moves in. The quiet ones sharpen their opinions. The loud ones get bolder. The dynamic has shifted, and you're no longer the one in control. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. The man who defends himself lowers himself, but the man who doesn't, he forces the world to sit with its own accusation. He lets silence do what no argument ever could, turn judgment into doubt. 2. Why you still lose, even when you're right. Most people believe that explaining themselves will bring clarity, but in reality, it does the opposite. It hands over control. Because the moment you start explaining, you're no longer leading. You're reacting. You're stepping onto their stage, under their lights, reading from their script. And no matter how logical, sincere, or truthful your words may be, you've already accepted their frame, their terms, their authority. Even if you're right, you still look defensive. And in power dynamics, defensiveness reads as guilt. People don't hear your truth. They hear your anxiety. They don't see confidence. They see you scrambling to prove something. And that scrambling tells them, maybe the accusation was right after all. The harsh truth. Only the insecure rush to explain. The strong don't plead their case. They don't seek approval. They understand a deeper law. The accusation weakens itself when you refuse to feed it. And sometimes, the strongest move isn't to prove your truth. It's to stand still long enough for their lie to collapse on its own. 3. The power of stillness. You step into a room. The energy shifts. Someone makes a comment, subtle, sharp, about your past, your confidence, your success. It's not just a joke, it's a test. Eyes turn. The crowd waits. They're not listening to the words anymore. They're watching for your reaction. Do you laugh it off? Do you fire back? Do you explain, justify, defend? Number. You hold the moment. No words, no twitch, no smirk. Just stillness, calm, composed, present. And in that silence, something powerful happens. The attention doesn't stay with the accuser. It turns to you. Because people don't follow noise. They follow gravity. And stillness, true grounded stillness, is gravity. It makes people lean in. It makes them wonder what you know that they don't. It makes them question the one who spoke in the first place. When you say nothing, but carry presence, you shift the entire frame. You don't just avoid the blow, you erase the fight entirely, because silence, when backed by confidence, speaks louder than any defense ever will. 4. Case study: the dinner table trap. He's at a dinner table. Conversation flows, until someone throws a jab. Guess humility's not your strong suit. Laughter follows. It's not just a joke, it's a public test. Everyone turns to see how he'll handle it. He doesn't tense, he doesn't explain, he simply pauses, lifts his glass, locks eyes with the speaker, not with aggression, but with effortless calm, and replies, "Interesting take." Then silence. No defense, no debate, just a subtle shift in posture, presence, and suddenly, everything turns. The attacker chuckles awkwardly, tries to justify the joke. "I was just messing around. You know how it is." He scans for validation, but the room isn't laughing anymore. Now they're watching him. In less than 10 seconds, the dynamic has reversed. The man who threw the shot now looks insecure, petty, rattled. Why? Because the one who held still held power. And in the silence, he didn't just win the moment. He rewrote the room's perception of strength. 5. Relationship tactic. Picture this. Your partner looks at you, eyes full of emotion, and says, "You don't care about me anymore." Most men react instantly. They rush to explain. They offer apologies. They scramble to fix the feeling. Not out of clarity, but out of fear. Fear of being misunderstood, of losing ground, of conflict. But the Machiavellian man? He doesn't rush. He doesn't panic. He lets the weight of her words settle in the air. Then in a calm, steady voice, he replies, "That's not how I see it." No long explanations, no justifications, just grounded presence. And in that stillness, something shifts. Because now, instead of escalating, she pauses. She hears her own tone. She feels the emotional wave she just sent out, and senses it didn't land. You didn't reject her. You didn't fight her. But you also didn't collapse. That balance, calm, unshaken, sincere, it forces reflection. Not on you, but on her. And in that moment, without saying much at all, you reclaimed the frame. 6. The coldest move. Silence is powerful. But sometimes, the coldest move isn't silence. It's inversion. The art of flipping the accusation so cleanly, it hits them instead. They call you manipulative? You smile and say, "Strange how confidence makes some people so uncomfortable." They call you arrogant. You shrug. People always seem to hate what they can't control. They say you're fake. Everyone says that when they stop getting what they want. These aren't defenses. They're mirrors. And when you hold up a mirror, people see more than your reflection. They see their own insecurity staring back. You don't deny. You don't defend. You don't stoop to the level of explanation. Instead, you reframe the entire moment. You make the attack look like their emotional weakness, not your moral failure. Now they are the ones who feel exposed. They thought they had you pinned. But suddenly, they're the one fumbling to clarify, to soften their tone, to regain control of the room. Because you didn't just deflect, you made them carry their own weapon. And in the process, you cut deeper without ever raising your voice. 7. Online arena. In the online world, defending yourself is a trap. Every comment, every explanation only adds fuel to the fire. Because on the internet, engagement is blood, and your defense is the scent that draws more. Someone posts, "You're fake. You're toxic." The weak reply with apologies or long clarifications. The smart? They reframe. You post, "Funny how people call you fake the moment they lose access to you." That's not a defense. That's a power play. You didn't justify anything. You redirected the spotlight. Now, the audience doesn't see you scrambling. They see you unbothered, calm, in control. The accuser? They look petty, emotional, bitter. That's the difference between surviving online and dominating the frame. You don't fight back. You let the narrative collapse on their side, and you stay exactly where power lives, untouched, unreachable, undeniable. 8. Silence is not weakness. Most people assume silence means guilt. They think if you don't respond, you must have something to hide. But that's only true when your silence looks uncertain, anxious, afraid. Silence, when paired with insecurity, is weakness. But silence wrapped in composure, that's power. Because when you say nothing, yet carry yourself with calm, steady presence, people don't assume guilt. They assume danger. They start asking questions they'll never say out loud. What does he know that we don't? Why isn't he reacting? Is he planning something? That's the shift. You're no longer just silent. You're unreadable. And what people can't read, they can't control. The man who doesn't react becomes the one they watch closely. Not because he's loud, but because he's unpredictable. Not because he begs for attention, but because people can't stop wondering what he'll do next. And in the world of power, mystery isn't a weakness. It's your greatest shield, and sometimes your sharpest blade. 9. Power reversal in action. Let's return to that dinner table. The jab lands, the room watches. But you don't flinch, you don't defend, you don't retaliate. You just sit there, calm, composed, untouched. And then something interesting happens. Someone at the table speaks up. That felt unnecessary. Another adds, he didn't even respond. Why are you still coming at him? No one asked them to step in. You didn't plead your case. But your silence, your refusal to validate the attack, created a vacuum. And in that vacuum, others rushed to fill it. Not with judgment toward you, but with discomfort toward the one who tried to provoke you. Why? Because you didn't appear defensive. You didn't seem shaken. You looked like someone above the drama, not beneath it. That's the reversal. You didn't just protect your image, you elevated it. Not by fighting back, but by showing restraint so strong, others felt the need to defend what you didn't. That's how true authority operates, without needing to ask. 10. Final blueprint. This is where everything changes. You're not faking strength anymore. You're not acting calm while boiling inside. You're not trying to look powerful. You're becoming it. Because real transformation doesn't start with what you show the world. It starts with what you stop needing from it. You stop needing validation. You stop needing people to understand you. You stop needing to explain every move, every word, every feeling. You stop playing defense, and you start controlling the field. That shift isn't loud, it's quiet, deliberate, dangerous. You begin to move differently. You pause before you speak. You observe before you act. You ask questions, not to get approval, but to expose motives. You wait instead of chase. You make yourself strategically available, not endlessly accessible. You speak with intent, not impulse. You act with timing, not tension. And with each move, you carve away weakness. You refine, you sharpen. You become harder to predict and harder to touch. Most people think dominance is about being loud, aggressive, commanding every room. It's not. The real dominance lives in precision, in saying less but meaning more, in doing little but shifting everything. You don't overpower with noise. You lead with calm. You cut through the noise like a blade, silent, exact, unmissable. Because the man who doesn't seek approval no longer fears rejection. The man who doesn't explain himself can't be cornered. And the man who no longer reacts on cue becomes untouchable, not because he hides, but because he chooses his exposure like a weapon. So here's the blueprint. Don't just change how you talk. Change what you tolerate. Change how you enter rooms. Change the way you hold eye contact, the way you pause, the way you exit conversations. And one day, you'll realize you didn't need to defend your name. You became someone they couldn't touch without losing control of their own. Closing. You're not here to be loud. You're here to be felt. You're not the background noise. You're the reason people lean in. Remember this, the most dangerous man in any room isn't the loudest. He's the quiet one everyone forgot to watch. Because while they were performing, you were preparing. While they were explaining, you were learning. While they were chasing attention, you became the gravity they orbit. You don't need to be seen to have power. You just need to act like the one who already has it. Now go. Be unreadable. Be quiet. Be unforgettable.